Two of the largest finance YouTubers on the platform are both building companies, that being Stephan and Meet Kevin. I think one of them is building the company the right way and the other one not so much. Not to say that that means one of them is going to succeed and the other one isn't. They could both succeed and they could both fail. But I think that someone like Stephan is actually building a company that he's trying to get behind and actually grow and be a founder of that and kind of like do everything that comes with creating a business and a company. And Meet Kevin is doing the most to mitigate any risk of his own and putting all the risk on other people. You can see this in the ways that both of them are building the company. Meet Kevin is taking money from subscribers and people who know him, trying to raise millions and millions of dollars and not own a lot of that company, but own voting rights. And Graham is starting a business with his own money, scaling it slowly and over time. He actually just uploaded a new video talking about the like behind the scenes and insides of his company, broke down some of the numbers, and I think it's pretty interesting to go over. And he talks directly about how much money him and his partner put into the business to start it.
Together, we invested a total of $13,000 for branding, legal, website creation, and packaging. Then we pre-ordered another several $1,000s worth of coffee to get ready to launch. So all in, we had invested about $8,000 each.
Graham and his partner are in $8,000 each, so $16,000 total to start the company, get all the labeling, get everything done on the back end, and then pre-order sales of like a few $1,000s of coffee originally to sell it and go on and then scale from there instead of trying to fast forward the process, raise a bunch of money, and then try it at scale. They did it slowly at first, learn what's going on, get a feel for the business, and are now scaling it from there. This is just completely opposite of what Kevin's doing, where he's taking a massive amount of money up front to try and front run or fast run this business process, where he could build this company, HouseHack, out of his own money and out of his own kind of area in real estate and just do it himself, build the company over time, scale it slower, and keep a majority of the equity. I think that's the big thing to keep an eye on here. Because in Meet Kevin's case, he talks about these other $1 billion and multi-billion dollar companies that he thinks he could become and compares HouseHack to, but he's willing to give up a lot of the company right up front on day zero before it's even started. He had this on his website. It's not there anymore, but I did make a video just about only Meet Kevin's HouseHack and kind of why it's weird. But he had this chart on it, and it's kind of hard to read, but this base layer here, this first one says 35 million investor investment. Kevin would invest 5 million for 40 million total, and he would own 12.5% of the company. Now, I don't think he's raised that much money, but he's going to do $5 million. I haven't seen anywhere, or he hasn't even made videos. Maybe I haven't been watching them, but he hasn't talked too much about getting 35 million. He's talked about like 25 or 26 or 28, close to it, but not quite there. But just 12.5% to own of a company that you think is going to be worth $10 billion. It doesn't make sense why on day zero, you want to give away so much of the company instead of keep as much equity as you possibly can to yourself. You can see right here, this is where that chart used to be. I haven't found it anywhere. I've scrolled through this website so much, and you can see Kevin's committed to personally invest $5 million at 1-to-1 ratio. Talks about the same thing. You're investing at the same valuation you're receiving. Founder shares, Kevin will just have voting rights and you don't. So, but it doesn't make sense why you would give away so much of the company. I don't think he's reached $35 million goal. He's probably come just shy of 28 or 30 million, and he's putting in the 5 million himself. But whatever that is, say 15%, it's somewhere around there. If you own 15% of your company on day zero, you're going to run into a problem where where's the motivation? If you only own 15% and you're scaling this company up and you're gonna have to raise more money down the line and you're gonna have to lose more equity, at some point you lose this motivation and it doesn't make you that much more money, and you could just make YouTube videos and make maybe the same amount of money. So that itself kind of tells me that even Kevin doesn't believe that this is going to be a multi-billion dollar company. Otherwise, he would try and keep the majority of the equity to himself. So just even looking at that, owning 15% and giving up 85% of your company means that you could lose motivation very quickly, and maybe you don't do the best job that you could. And I would even say, if you're selling so much of your company up front on day zero, that Graham and Bankroll Coffee could be much more successful. Graham could make way more money scaling Bankroll Coffee slowly than Meet Kevin could in the millions and millions of dollars that he's raised in his company. And I think Graham thinks of it that way, of growing slowly, learning as you go, and putting yourself in a best position to not have problems that are going to burn money.
To me, it just makes sense to slowly expand the range of products being offered and do it in such a way where we know we're not going to have any logistical issues. After all, our first launch had a major learning curve to ship out 10,000 bags of coffee in less than a week. So this time we are fully prepared to sell out, but in such a way where we could quickly get orders out to everyone who's as impatient as I am to get them.
So just the way Graham's going about it, to me, makes more sense in scaling slowly, learning as you go, because there's going to be problems and you want to minimize the problems as much as possible. Kevin, on the other hand, seems to be going into this HouseHack company as a I know everything, I know better, the wedge deal master, I'm so much smarter than the other people and I can do this so well. And he raised tens of millions of dollars to do this. And that got the risk off, though, because if HouseHack fails and collapses and goes to zero, Kevin has 5 million in it, but that's not that much to Kevin. Has many, many millions of dollars, successful YouTube channel. He makes money that way. He has his own real estate. But if this HouseHack thing fails, he doesn't have the majority of the risk. The people who invested in it have the majority of the risk. And for HouseHack, the way going about it, trying to speed run business really, is he's going to run into problems. And the question is, when we see that happen, because I'll be interested to see how he reacts to it, because it's such a him branded company where if Kevin isn't the head of it, it doesn't really have value. So he can't take reputational hits if he makes bad deals or something. So I want to see how he deals with problems that come up, because if he has a problem and can't take accountability or responsibility for it because the reputation will go down, that means the company reputation value goes down. Then will he reflect that or deflect the problems and try and say it was somebody else's fault, not mine? But we haven't been able to see that yet because HouseHack is still just an idea with $20 million in it. And lastly, we can look into the back end of Graham's business where he shares kind of the numbers behind the scenes and showing the company how it's doing.
To start, in total, we have just over 16,000 customers, and throughout 2022, we've done just over $100,000 worth of sales with no paid advertising and no special shoutouts. Just one video mentioning it in February, along with a merchant shelf below the video, and that's it. Now, even more remarkable is that in the last 90 days, we've had a nearly 60% returning customer rate, meaning more than half of people who place an order will place another order in the following few months.
So with 6 figures in revenue in 2022, a returning customer rate of 60% almost, and 0 spent on advertising, I think the Bankroll Coffee is going pretty well. Is expanding more products, has the tea coming out, has the accessories, and has gone about building this company in a way that it can stand on its own. I think that Graham is doing it the right way, where he put up his own money. He wanted to build this thing big, put in $16,000, and in 2022, it's making 6 figures. He's running the logistics, he's learning all this stuff, and he's doing it slow enough where if a mistake does happen, it's not going to be the end of the company, it's not going to burn so much money, and it's not going to have a reputational backlash compared to Meet Kevin's case where he's took millions, tens of millions of dollars upfront from investors, promised the world, said it's going to be the best company known to man, a multi-billion-dollar company, pointed to other companies that have been that and done that, even though he has no business ever starting a company like this. I think that he's taking on a lot more than he can actually kind of do. But he's mitigating the risk for himself. He's taking the risk off of himself, putting it onto all the investors. So if HouseHack goes belly up, goes bankrupt and disappears, the investors are out the majority of that money. Hopefully we get to see a super transparent view into HouseHack like Graham does with Bankroll. It's not super transparent as to, revenue and the net profit, actual profit and stuff like this, but it's transparent enough where you get an idea of how the business is going, where the costs come from, where the revenue comes from, and what's going on. I hope that we get the same thing with Kevin like that, because I would like to see how HouseHack actually does and how those tens of millions of dollars actually get deployed and if they actually make any money. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm interested to follow both of these companies and see how it goes down with some of the biggest YouTube or financial YouTubers on the platform. And, you know, if they both succeed, great. If one of them doesn't, I just want to see the journey for all of that. But as always, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. Remember to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next video.